Real YouTubers have the same intro. I changed my color because I wasn't sure if people were realizing that this is a different intro every time. And I'm really confused because I thought it was pretty obvious because I sing a different song, but no one's really commented on it. Hello. No, I'm not trying to say anything. Why? Anyway, today we're going to do something that I think is actually really cool. I'm going to be going through every single Pokemon that has ever won the World Championships, which I think is cool. So, let me know if you like this kind of content down below. Leave a like, leave a comment, etc., etc. There should be some surprises in here for some of you guys. For actually almost everybody, because I was surprised, which means that most of you will probably be surprised at some point in this video. So, yeah, if you are interested / surprised by anything, let me know down below. And again, if you want to see more content like this, also let me know down below. Also, subscriber to the channel. Anyway, okay, let's get started. So, I've gone through, and I don't know why, but for some reason, when I am on Tier List Maker, like, things go poorly for me. Like, basically, I can't just input all of the Pokemon at once. I have to manually put one Pokemon in and then refresh, like, go to a different page, come back to the edit page, and add another Pokemon. So I want you to know, getting all of the Pokemon in here took me a full hour. So I hope you appreciate this, because it was really miserable. Anyway, so I was trying to think of how to visualize this, and I realized that I thought a tier list was a decent way of doing it. This is not actually a tier list, so to speak. It's just a ranking of how many times each Pokemon has won the World Championships. So, let's see. So I took inspiration from this is a graphic that Ryuzaki, who's a very well-known VGC player, made. This is a list of, this is a tweet, I just took her tweet. It's at Ryuzaki VGC _VGC. You can see here, Ryuzaki _VGC. She made this graphic. This one might be a little outdated because it doesn't have 2019. I just Googled it, so I wasn't sure if I found the most recent one. And then I just took the champion team from here, from 2019 World Championships. So I went through this. You can see all of the Pokemon that were used at the top 8 of the World Championships from the most tiers, like not these two, obviously, but yeah. With that being said, I just thought it'd be interesting to talk about every Pokemon that has actually won. So that's why Ryuzaki's list was actually pretty good for me. So yeah, anyway, I went through it and I counted up each time a Pokemon won, and spoiler alert, the most a Pokemon has won the World Championships is 3 times. So yeah, I'll just go through, I'll talk about the years. I've got notes to myself here, talk about the years that these Pokemon won, and yeah, we'll just see what happens from there. I don't know, my hair is getting too long. I am in desperate need of a haircut. Or I'm not in desperate need, but my need is approaching desperate. I've decided I'm a beauty YouTuber now, so this is how you put stuff in your hair. First you put it in your hands, then you rub them together, and you do this, and then nothing changes, and then you feel stupid, and you've wasted some of your hair product. Anyway, let's get started. Okay, first up we have Bronzong. So, Bronzong is a personal favorite Pokemon of mine. Let's say, how many times do you think it's won? 1, 2, or 3? The answer is actually 2. Bronzong won in 2008. Let's see, 2008. We can see the team here. Smeargle, Bronzong, Snorlax, and Metagross. I believe this was level 1 Smeargle. This is before no team preview and no auto level, but I'm not actually positive if it's level 1 Smeargle or not, but yeah, no team preview. So, yeah, Smeargle, Bronzong, Snorlax, and Metagross won in 2009. So Bronzong won in 2008, I should say. Bronzong won in 2008 and doesn't win again until 2016 when this jerk wins the World Championships with it. Now, Bronzong, as you can see here, had a very good chance given the top 8 to win the World Championships, but yeah, Bronzong does win the World Championships in 2016 as well. Next up, we have Smeargle. Now, Smeargle's a Pokemon who I personally hate. How many times do you think Smeargle's won the World Championships? And the answer is actually only once, and it's actually only that one that we just talked about. It only wins in 2008. It doesn't win in 2016 when it was extremely popular. It only has 1 or 2 uses in Top Cut. And then even in 2019, it doesn't win, it doesn't win in 2019 either. So, yeah, how did it do? I don't see very many. Top 8 maybe? No, it doesn't even top 8, interestingly enough. I mean, they removed Dark Void, but it was still a menace. So, yeah, Smeargle actually only has 1 Worlds Final. Next up we have, this is slightly out of order. It should be like this. Next up we have Snorlax. Snorlax is the first Pokemon to have Top Cut Worlds, or to have won the World Championships 3 times. What's funny to me is it happened twice in the first 2 years. 1 to 2008 and 1 to 2009. Snorlax was apparently very good. I did not play back then. I didn't play until 2011, so my knowledge on the Pokemon that won before then, I can't speak too much of it. But yeah, I guess I should talk a little bit about what the Pokemon do. So, Bronzong obviously is a Trick Room support Pokemon. It's a very good Trick Room setter. It's very bulky, has good typing. In 2016, it was used as one of the Trick Room setters that also had a positive matchup for Xerneas. And I can't tell you what it did in 2008, other than set Trick Room. I'm pretty sure this was just like a Dark Void, Endeavor, Smeargle, Fake Out team with Bronzong, and then like Belly Drum, Snorlax, and Psych Up Metagross, I think, but I don't know for sure. Smeargle's a support Pokemon. It had access to Dark Void until 2017. When did they nerf Dark Void? 2017, yeah. But it actually won the World Championships, I think, when it was level 1, so I'm not positive about it. But generally, it's just a super annoying support Pokemon who had Dark Void for a while. And then Snorlax, oftentimes is Belly Drum, though it doesn't have to be Belly Drum. Paul won the World Championship with Snorlax in 2018, and I'm almost positive he was Belly Drum, but he might have been Curse. But yeah, generally just like a very bulky Pokemon with only one weakness that is offensive in some way and is threatening in some way, either as a setup sweeper or as like a Kaboom Pokemon. Next up, we have Metagross. So this is probably going to surprise you guys. Metagross also has won the World Championships. Please? I can do this. 3 times. Where's the song? I'm going to skip this one. Yeah, Metagross actually was really good back in the day. It wins in 2008, it wins in 2009, and then again in 2012. Yeah, it was a very, very good Pokemon. It was just a really solid, bulky attacker with Clear Body, which is an amazing ability, meaning you couldn't drop its stats. And yeah, really good typing at the time. It's hurt a lot by the change in Steel's typing. Steel used to both resist Ghost and Dark, so Metagross's only weaknesses were Fire and Ground, and you can compensate for those weaknesses somewhat. Dragon types also ruled back in Generation 5, and maybe in Generation 4 as well, I don't really know. But yeah, Dragon types were kind of like the top of the meta in 2000, or at least in Gen 5 in 2012. And so, yeah, like having a bulky Steel type Pokemon, the typing is really nice. Next up, we have Ludicolo. So we're out of 2008 and 2009. Oh wait, no, we're still in 2009. Ludicolo actually has won twice. In 2010 and 2009. It gets top 4 as well in 2008. But yeah, it wins in 2009. You can see there's a lot of Ludicolo here. And it also wins in 2010, and it'll get 2nd and 3rd as well, which is pretty cool. Yeah, Ludicolo, this is before Assault Vest. I believe Raise was used as a Kyogre counter with Swift Swim. But I can't speak too much to the 2009 player. I think it was just like on a rain team because they had both Toxicroak and Ludicolo. However, it's possible that it was, used as a rain counter as well, similar to how Ray used it. Ludicolo is a Pokemon that unfortunately kind of has fallen off. Like, it didn't even come close since those years. But yeah, it still has 2 World Championships victories. Next up is Toxicroak. I imagine this was also used as a rain counter. It only has 1 World Championship victory, which is honestly, Toxicroak should count itself lucky because I'm surprised there's any, personally. Yeah, Toxicroak wins in 2009 and never again. It has some usage throughout the years. Like, it pops up again in 2019, but yeah, it's just like a solid dry skin user, like with Fake Out. Fake Out was obviously really good back in the day. Ludicolo also had Fake Out. Yeah, so I don't know too much about how Toxicroak gets used. I will have more knowledge as we continue. Next up, we have Salamence. Salamence is actually a 3-time world champion. It wins in 2009, then it wins in both 2018 and 2019. So, 2009, I can't tell you what it did, I don't know. I imagine Scarf, but I do not know for sure. And then in 2018, Paul Ruiz wins the World Championships with Mega Salamence. And in 2019, it wins again as Mega Salamence. I'm counting Mega Salamence and Salamence as the same Pokemon because it's the same Pokemon, just with a different item. But yeah, so Salamence is our next 3-time World Champion. Next up, we have Empoleon, who I forgot won the World Championships, but actually wins in 2009. I can't tell you anything about it. I don't know what it did. It also won US Nationals, I think, in either 2008 or 2009. Or maybe it was 2nd. I know Omega Donut had it. Very soon I'll be able to tell you what Pokemon did. Okay, we're in 2010. Kyogre wins the World Championships, and it wins it twice. Once in 2010 and once in 2016. 2 out of 3, championships isn't bad. Kyogre was only legal in 10, 16, and 19, so... yeah, can't feel too bad about that. Next up, we have Hariyama. Hariyama, I'm not entirely sure what it did. I believe it was Guts Flame Orb, Fake Out, Close Combat, 2 other moves. I think it was just like a good Trick Room setter. Ray's team was a Trick Room team, as far as I'm aware, with Ludicolo, Hariyama, Kyogre, Cresselia, Dialga, and Groudon. Even though he had 3 restricted Pokemon, you could only bring 2 per battle. So I think Hariyama was just a solid Trick Room sweeper, and help and support as well. You could use Fake Out plus Trick Room to help set up the Trick Room, and then from there you could sweep, because on the second turn you'd have your Guts Flame Orb active. So Yeah. Speaking of Pokemon that only won in 2010, Hariyama is one of them. Dialga's the other one. The other one that only won in 2010. Come on, bro. This is so hard. Dialga, I think, was just a bulky Trick Room setter. Positive matchup against Kyogre. There still was no team preview in 2010. So, yeah. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what like the reasoning behind Dialga, but yeah, it's a super bulky Pokemon. I've used it myself to win a regional and bomb a national, and yeah, overall a good Pokemon. Next up, we have Cresselia, who Cresselia does a couple of things. It's at the time was one like in Generation 5, it was one of the best Pokemon. I think it was very good in Generation 4 as well, and it's since kind of fallen off. It's had some passive nerfs and like the addition of knockoff, and yeah, just a bunch of other things. But Cresselia for a time was like the queen of bulk, and it was so hard to get rid of, and it offered really good speed control. So it had Icy Wind, it had Trick Room, it had Thunder Wave. It's done a bunch of different things. You could use it with Swagger, which is something that Ray did, and yeah, it was just it's like one of the bulkiest Pokemon of all time, and like with only a couple weaknesses, one of which is Bug, which isn't super legitimate. It actually went on to win the World Championships 3 times. Once in 2010, I lost it. Once in 2012, and once in 2015. So it was on 2 of Ray's World Champion teams out of 3, and the one that it wasn't legal for, because that was Gen 5 only. So yeah, Cresselia, one of the best Pokemon of all time, has won 3 World Championships. Next up, we have Groudon, who's actually won 2 World Championships next to Kyogre. It won in 2010, and then also in 2019. I don't know what it did in 2010, but in 2019, it was Primal Groudon. We can see it here, actually. Precipice Blades, Fire Punch, Dragon Claw, and Protect. Very bulky Pokemon, good against Xerneas. The Fire typing helps a lot. Weather Control with Desolate Land. Overall, a really, really, really powerful Pokemon. I don't think I need to tell you why Groudon is good. Next up is Thundurus. So Thundurus actually only won the World Championships twice, which is a little surprising to me. And it doesn't win in 2011 or 2012, which is interesting because... Or it doesn't win it, sorry, in 2012 or 2013, which is interesting because like it was so dominant those formats. It actually only wins in 2011 when Ray actually introduced bulky Thundurus. And then again in 2015 when Chalk was very prevalent, to say the least, in the top cut. So Thundurus, although its stats would imply that it's going to be a fast, offensive, frail sweeper, it actually functioned as a bulky support Pokemon. People would invest almost fully in bulk and a little bit in speed, and would use moves like Thunder Wave, Swagger, and Taunt to slow down the opponents. So, yeah, overall an amazing Pokemon. It dominated metagames. I'm really surprised it didn't win in 2012 or 2013. Came close both years. In 2012 it was second when I used it, and in 2013 it was also second when Ryosuke used it. So, yeah. It just was kind of the nature that the winning teams didn't have it, but it was still a very, very good Pokemon. You can see half of the top cut here has it, and almost half the top cut here has it as well. Yeah, cool. So that's Thundurus. Next up, how much time do we have, by the way? Okay, so this is going to be a long video. Next up, we have Gothitelle. Gothitelle is a Pokemon that I personally love, and despite it being introduced in Generation 5, it has won 2 World Championships, which is very, very good for a Pokemon like Gothitelle. It won in 2011 when raised it as an Amoonguss counter, and it also won in 2014 when Seijun used it with its new Shadow Tag ability to trap opponents in. It's not like incredibly bulky, but it is very bulky. It can lift Choice Specs, Hydreigon, Dark Pulse, for example. And the Shadow Tag ability makes it very, very good. Ray used it in 2011 as an Amoonguss counter, maybe to do some other stuff as well, I don't know. But as I recall, it was just an Amoonguss counter. Yeah. I think it was one of his lesser used mons in 2011. Next up, we have Hydreigon. Where am I on my list? Okay, Hydreigon actually has 2 World Championships. Both of them come from Ray. He used it in 2011 to win, and again in 2012. It's a good Pokemon. Like, it's Dark and Dragon, although it's very weak to Fairy. There was no Fairy in Generation 5, which helped a lot. And yeah, it's a very offensive Pokemon. It has good coverage moves and Earth Power and Fire moves to hit Steel types. Yeah, overall, it's just a powerful Pokemon. You could run it with Dragon Gem. You could run it with Leftovers. You could run it with Life Orb. Its bulk actually isn't even... Like, its natural bulk isn't bad. And in a metagame without Fairies, it was a really solid Pokemon that put a lot of pressure on certain team compositions. So, yeah. Hydreigon, probably not a Pokemon people expected to have won twice, but that's how it works. Next up, from 2011, we have Conkeldurr, who also has won 2 World Championships. Conkeldurr wins in 2011 and 2013. Ray ran Leftovers Conkeldurr with bulk. And in 2013, Arash ran, I believe, just the standard Hammer Arm Life Orb set, though I'm not 100% sure. It's just a powerful, physical, offensive Pokemon that hits very hard. It's like a solid fighting type with decent bulk. Low speed allows it to function in and Trick Room, but because of Mach Punch as its priority attack, it doesn't need Trick Room to function, and it has 2 good abilities in Iron Fist and Guts, although I believe both of these were... No, 2013 should have been Iron Fist, but 2011 was Guts because Iron Fist was not released. So, yeah, just overall solid attacker, put a lot of pressure on Pokemon, and, yeah, like, it's just like a solid fighting type. Even though it doesn't have Fake Out or Intimidate, like Scrafty and Hitmontop, it makes up for that in its power increase, and, yeah, like, Hitmontop wasn't legal in 2011, and Scrafty didn't have Intimidate, Scrafty didn't have Intimidate in 2011 anyway, so, yeah. By the way, I didn't mention this explicitly, but this is only the Masters Division teams. I think it should be obvious, but Escavalier actually has a win as well. It wins in 2011 when Brendan Zhang uses it. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. Wait, what did I just say? No, it wins in 2013 when Brendan Zhang uses it in the Senior Division, but it wins in 2011 when Ray uses it as a counter team, probably specifically for me. Yeah. Yeah, Ray was inspired by the Japanese, I think, to add Escavalier to his team, and he added it because he wanted a hard Trick Room answer, and yeah, then he won the World Championships. Anyway, Terrakion actually is another really good Pokemon, but it only has 1 win. Again, in 2011 when Ray used it. So, yeah, of these Pokemon, of these 4 that Ray used to win World Championships, Escavalier and Terrakion's only win come from Ray, which I think is interesting. But yeah, Terrakion, fast, offensive, one of the best Pokemon in 2011, and... yeah, like, it's a really good Pokemon with a good ability, but, yeah, it's only won 1 World Championships. Next up, we have Rotom Wash. This is from Ray's 2012 team. Its only win is actually in 2012, and it's the only Rotom form to win Worlds as well. I think that's kind of interesting, because Rotom always gets a lot of, like, hype, but as you can see, it's only won the World Championships once, which I just think is an interesting thing, especially because it was very, very good back in 2012 and 2013, but... yeah, it gets knocked out in top 4 when Aaron's egg falls to Ryosuke, so, yeah. Okay, next up is Tyranitar. Funnily enough, Tyranitar only has 1 World Championship victory. It's in 2012 as well, when Ray uses it there as well. Yeah, as you can see, Tyranitar's only won the World Championships once, despite being legal, I think, from 2011. I guess 2012 was actually the first year. As I recall, it might have been legal in 2010, actually. Is there any in top 8? Okay, it was legal in 2010, but I don't think it was legal in 2008 or 2009 because there was no auto level. So if you went over level 50, you couldn't use a Pokemon. And Tyranitar evolves at level 55, so you can't. I don't think you could use it in 8 or 9. But yeah, in 2010 they have auto level, so Tyranitar works. But yeah, Tyranitar actually has only won 1 World Championship, which is kind of wild because it was legal in 2014 as well. You can see it got a lot of usage. 2016, I mean, it wasn't very good, nor 2019, so I guess that makes sense. But yeah, it's such a good Pokemon, you would have expected it to have more wins. Next up we have Garchomp. So Garchomp wins in 2012. It also wins in 2014 when Seijun uses it. Fast Pokemon with good offensive type coverage, and yeah, just overall a very strong Pokemon. It's got really good natural bulk as well. Garchomp kind of has a lot of things going for it. It probably would have won more World Championships if Landorus T hadn't popped up, but yeah, it's just a great Pokemon. Really solid, really fast, really offensive. Not too much more to say about it. It's just like a solid offensive Pokemon, but the bulk is really good as well. People have run bulky Garchomp before, and it's worked, so yeah. Next up, we have Tornadus, one of my personal favorite Pokemon, though I do prefer the Therian form. Where are we on my list? Okay, cool. I'm here. Tornadus only wins in 2013. It was the only year that Defiant was legal, I think, which may have had a pretty big role. Yeah, Defiant Tornadus was actually really good. Saw a lot of use throughout the year, and with Flying Gym Acrobatics, it was a very powerful offensive Pokemon, but also had good support moves and Tailwind. And with Defiant, it had one of the best abilities in the game. However, yeah, Defiant was never legal again, and so, yeah, Tornadus only wins once. Speaking of Tornadus, we have Arash's anti-meta Mamoswine, who only wins once as well. A really good call to deal with the Genies present in 2013. However, yeah, like not traditionally thought of as an especially good Pokemon when you have other ground type options like Garchomp and Landorus. So definitely an off-meta pick, but one that worked really well. Next up, we have Amoonguss, who actually only won twice. Amoonguss I thought would have won more times, but it wins in 2013 when Arash uses it, and wins again in 2015 when Shoma uses it. But yeah, despite being a really good Pokemon in a lot of these formats, like in 2018 and 2016 and 2019 and 2014, it does not win the World Championships. It's actually not even really present in the top cut here, which I'm surprised by personally. But yeah, Amoonguss is just a great bulky support Pokemon. Rage Powder and Spore are broken. It has Regenerator, which is really good. It had Effect Spore for a while as well, which is not bad in a Kangaskhan metagame. Yeah, but it only has 2 World Championship victories to its name, despite being introduced in 2011 and, you know, viable to win in 2011 as well. Okay, Amoonguss. Next up, we have Latios. Latios wins 1 World Championship again with Arash. So, yeah, Latios was a really good Pokemon in 2011 and 2012. Has since fallen off. So, given that those were its 2 best formats, I think 1 World Championship victory is pretty fair. Like, I think 1 or 2 is probably where you'd expect to see Latios. Back in the day, people ran either Choice Specs, which was less common, or Dragon Gem, which was more common, to launch like a super powerful Draco Meteor that like had a really good chance to KO most things that didn't resist it and weren't especially bulky. So, yeah, just a really powerful offensive Pokemon. Next up, we have another personal favorite of mine, Heatran. Heatran wins 2 World Championships, the first in 2013 with Arash, the second in 2015 with Shoma. You can see there's a fair bit of overlap between these two. Amoonguss wins both years here, Heatran wins both years here, and we have like 1 Genie, 1 Psychic type, and like Mamoswine is kind of Kangaskhan. Yeah. Heatran, Amoonguss, yeah. Latios is Cresselia. Yeah, so like they look somewhat similar. But yeah. Heatran wins twice. In 2013, it was an offensive eruption Pokemon. Fire Gem Eruption, which I've talked about before, did incredibly well and did insane amounts of damage. And then in 2015, I believe it was slightly bulkier. It didn't have access to Eruption, but I believe it ran Shuka Berry to help survive attacks in combination with Landorus. And yeah, it was just overall a solid bulky Pokemon with immunities to fire and like good damage output from spread and yeah, just good typing overall. So solid bulky attacker is Heatran. Functions in and out of Trick Room. Next up, we have Pachirisu. Only wins once, but it was a very impactful victory, I think. Wins in 2014. Follow Me Pokemon can ignore Rotom Cut, which plays a role in the final match, actually, when it redirects Rotom Cut. Something that Amoonguss could not do. Just an overall bulky Pokemon. Well, not that bulky, but an overall, like, kind of niche pick that fills a role that Amoonguss doesn't fill, thanks to its higher speed, its not grass typing, its access to Follow Me over Rage Powder, and its surprise factor. Talonflame, a demon of 2014, wins in 2014 as well. Talonflame gets some usage in 2015, a little bit, and a decent bit in 2016 as well. But it only wins in 2014. It falls off shortly after 2016 ends. Doesn't really get much usage in 18 or 19 thanks to the nerf to Gale Wings and the overall power creep of those formats, and the fact that it wasn't a regional dex. But yeah, Talonflame gets its moment in the sun when Sajin uses it to win. The next 2 Pokemon also only get 1 win. I'm just going to put them in one at a time. Gardevoir, Choice Scarf Gardevoir, Sajin used for some speed, and probably to help with like Garchomp and stuff. And then Mega Gyarados was his Mega of choice. Mega Gyarados is the only time Gyarados has won Worlds. I don't think Gyarados has even come close other than this. Where am I on my list? Yeah. Yeah, so of the Pokemon Sajin used, 4 of them only won when he used them. Gothitelle was one of the other ones. Gothitelle got first in 2011, like we talked about, and then the last Pokemon was... No, wait, what was it? Garchomp, right, Garchomp. Yeah, so Gothitelle and Garchomp were used in other years to win, 2011 and 2012, both by Ray. But yeah, these 4 were all unique to Sajin's win, which I think is kind of cool. Next up, the next few will shock you. Landorus Therian, one of the most broken Pokemon of all time, only won the World Championships once. Paling to Metagross, Paling to Salamence, Paling to Cresselia, Paling to Snorlax. Only won it once. What do you want me to say? It wins in 2015. It does not win in 2016. It wasn't legal in 2017. It doesn't win in 2018, though it gets pretty close. And it doesn't win in 2019 either. One of the most broken Pokemon of all time. Doesn't win. It does win, but it only wins 1 time. Similarly, Kangaskhan, one of the most broken Pokemon of all time, does not win in 14, does not win in 16, 17, that wasn't legal. 18, it doesn't win. 19, it doesn't win, although it wasn't as good in 18. It was kind of good in 19. But yeah, Kangaskhan does not win these World Championships. Gets second here, but it only wins 1 World Championship with chalk. So I think it's funny because Landorus and Kangaskhan are talked about as like some of the most broken Pokemon of all time, but they only won once, which is interesting. Which happens to be the same amount as our next Pokemon, Raichu. Wins once when your boy uses it as a bulky Fake Out Pokemon with Nuzzle and Endeavor. Overall good support Pokemon that can really disrupt the opponent. Took advantage of Fake Out in conjunction with Hitmontop, who's also only won once. Double Fake Out team helped with the non-Mega Gengar mode. Yeah, just like a bulky support Pokemon with some good speed. Hitmontop had Fake Out, Intimidate, and Wide Guard, as well as Feint to ease predictions and help with endgames and just overall control the board. Helped a lot versus Groudon. And Mega Gengar was only won 1 World Championships as well. Any kind of Gengar has only won World Championships. Yeah. Used as a Xerneas counter primarily, and to abuse Shadow Tag with Intimidate and especially Kyogre. Trapping things in the field with Kyogre is very good. The last Pokemon that only won once from Wolf's team is Mega Rayquaza. Mega Rayquaza it was only legal in 2010, 2016, and 2020 or 2019. Rayquaza at all, and it wasn't as good. Or I don't think it was very good in 2010. Did it win nationals? It may have. But it wasn't really used. We can actually check. Was Rayquaza used at all in the top cut? I don't see any Rayquaza here, just at first glance. We have a Mewtwo, though. We have two Mewtwo, though. Yeah, Rayquaza doesn't seem to be used very much in 2010. It had some usage in 2019, for sure. It was actually pretty good. It won the U.S. Nationals when your boy won U.S. Internationals. Thank you very much with Rayquaza. But, yeah, it only wins one World Championships here. Part of the Ray-Ogre core. Very powerful core. Next up, we only have a few Pokemon left, which is good because my throat hurts. We have Whimsicott. Whimsicott does win one World Championship, and it does it in in a year where fairies are kind of taking over. Whimsicott, Tapu Fini, and Tapu Koko all win the World Championships together in 2017. Triple Fairy. This Whimsicott had Normalium Z, which would use Priority Z moves, copying either turning into Max Lightning or Max Geyser, or Max Starfall. Wait, no. Z, Gigavolt Havoc, and I don't remember what the Fairy Z move is called. What's the Fairy Z move called? This is actually really bothering me. Gigavolt Havoc and Twinkle Tackle. Yeah, Twinkle Tackle. Normalium Z would allow Whimsicott, basing the terrain, to use its Z move to transform into different types. It also is one of the best speed control Pokemon, having Prankster Tailwind, which is really rare. And yeah, very exclusive to immediately, well, back then it wasn't immediately, but to offer speed control. Also gets other good support moves like Taunt, and it there's a couple of really good things it can do. Yeah, but generally just offering speed control. Next up, we have Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko wins 2 Pokemon World Championships in 2017 and 2018. When Paul uses it, it's just a very fast. The speed is so helpful, and yeah, the damage output is pretty significant as well with the electric terrain. So overall, really solid Pokemon that's hard to nail down thanks to Volt Switch, keeping it its momentum going pretty well, and yeah, just really hard to hit. Tapu Fini also wins 2 World Championships. However, it's 2017 and 2019 when it wins the World Championships. You can see it here. It was Fairy MZ with Nature's Madness, Moonblast, Scald, and Protect here. It was a more offensive Tapu Fini, though it's typically thought to be more of a defensive Pokemon. Yeah, overall, just a solid Pokemon. Nature's Madness chipping down opponents. Yeah. Crocodile actually wins a World Championships as well in 2017. It almost wins in 2011 when Mateo Genie gets second, but it does finally succeed in 2017 when Ryota uses it on his team along with Alolan Marowak. Yeah, Crocodile being a ground type and Alolan Marowak having Lightning Rod helps a lot versus Tapu Koko, who was definitely a demon in that format. Marowak, by the way, also is pretty good, nice because, yeah, Celesteela was kind of a big deal, and you can't have too much for Celesteela. Crocodile is also nice because it has immunities to 2 of the terrain setters in Tapu Koko and Tapu Lele, so that was good. Celesteela, also kind of a demon in the past, only wins 1 World Championship as well. So Ryota also, like Sage and like Wolf, 4 of Ryota's Pokemon only win the World Championship when he uses them, which is kind of cool. So yeah, Celesteela just a very bulky Pokemon, but also has good offense thanks to Heavy Slam. So yeah, a very bulky Pokemon, kind of a demon in 2017, but only wins 1 World Championship. Doesn't really see much use in 2018, and although it wins U.S. Nationals in 2019, I don't think it got much play in Top Cut here. Yeah, we actually see a lot of Metagross. Yeah, no top 8s in 2019, unfortunately for Celesteela. Incineroar, despite being really only relevant in 2 formats, won both of those formats. 2017, it technically was legal, but it didn't have Intimidate yet, so yeah, it doesn't win. And then in 2018 and 2019, it wins both times. So of the formats where Intimidate Incineroar was legal, it's won 100% of them. So we'll have to see that if there was a 2020 World Championships, if it would win that one too. Because, yeah, it's a different format, but it's a very good Pokemon. One of the best support Pokemon. One of the best defensive pieces. I've talked about it a lot on the channel. I don't have to say much more about it. Gastrodon went in 2018 as well when Paul Ruiz uses it. It only has 1 win, but Paul is successfully able to pilot it to a win. Gastrodon, typically thought of as a bad Pokemon, but Paul changes people's minds maybe, or at least proves them wrong with his Gastrodon. And interesting as well to me, Cortana, who was one of the best Pokemon in 2017 and 2018 and had a lot of use in 2019, only wins 1 World Championship as well. It wins in 2018 when Paul uses it. And it wasn't that common. You can see there's 3 in top 8, which actually I guess is kind of common. But yeah, one of the best Pokemon in those formats. Doesn't win 2018. Or it doesn't win 2017 or 2019, and both of those would have been viable. And it actually doesn't even do very well in Top Cut in 2017, having only one top 8. Cortana team. James Beck brings Cortana to top 4. Alex Gomez and Eric Rios both finished top 8 with Cortana. So yeah, Cortana was on 3 of the teams that on the years that it didn't win. No, sorry, it's on 3 of the teams in 2018, 2019, and only 1 in 2017. Fast, frail, and very, very strong, but can be compensated for the frailty with moves like Substitute, or with an Assault Vest. So yeah, it's a very dangerous Pokemon with an amazing ability. Next up, we have Lunala. Lunala wins in 2019. It's the only year it was legal. Offensive Pokemon with a really good ability, weak to Incineroar, but obviously not weak enough that it stops it from winning the World Championships. Can chunk Incineroar, can chunk Groudon. Very specially offensive. Oftentimes runs the Z move, although I believe this one was actually a berry, if I recall correctly. Yeah, solid Pokemon. Had a lot of success in 2019. And last but not least, we have Stakataka, who also wins in 2019. Another Steel-type Pokemon, an answer to Xerneas. Gets Wide Guard, although I don't actually think it has it. It also gets Trick Room, and is one of the lowest base speeds and one of the highest attacks in the game. So, yeah, we can see this one run Gyro Bolt, Stone Edge, Trick Room, and Protect with Rocky MZ and Lonely Nature to get an attack boost. Trying to Oko Incineroar through Intimidate, I presume. I actually have forgotten. And that's it. That's every Pokemon who's won the World Championships. Let me just really quickly make sure that I didn't miss any three-time ones. Yeah, it looks like just those 4. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty interesting. Of these, I think 64 Pokemon, 48 of them should be unique if I've counted correctly. Let's just see. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 22. I've done something wrong. Well, 48 of them are not unique because I did something wrong in my counting, but yeah, you can see there's a lot of Pokemon that have only won 1 time. Only a few have won 3 times, and they're kind of surprising. To be fair, both Snorlax and Metagross won twice in the early years, like 2008 and 2009. So, like, that was, like, very, very early VGC. So, yeah, it's, like, kind of different, I guess you could say. And, like, they don't, like, even though they have such a strong lead, they only win once more in the next, 9 years, 10 years. So, yeah, I think that's interesting. Cresselia, an early format, just beast. And then Salamence, because of its resurgence with Mega Evolution, does really well on 18 and 19. But yeah, this is the list. You can see it's actually, I think it's really interesting. Like, the Pokemon at the top are interesting. You have some Pokemon which are a little weird, like Ludicolo has 2 World Championships, Hydreigon has 2, Gothitelle has 2, Amoonguss only has 2. Like, some of these Pokemon you would expect would be higher. Bronzong has 2, which is cool. Smeargle only has 1. Landorus and Kangaskhan only have 1. Yeah, I don't know. Like, some of these Pokemon I think are really interesting. Tyranitar only has 1. So, yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a cool concept, and I hope you guys agree, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Because, yeah, that's every Pokemon that's won the World Championship. So, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and a comment, and I'll see you next time for more content. Goodbye.